Oh, hey, Don Schmidt, the Book Kahuna. Can't get enough of these war stories, huh? Gotta come back for more. Well, today I have a good one for you. Now, most of these war stories have been about bosses, but this particular war story is not about an evil or bad boss, but it's about a coworker. And what's prompted me to come up with this story, or to remember, I knew it, I remembered it because it actually happened to me, was the Me Too movement. I spent some time, once the Me Too movement really hit in the last couple of years, and I started to think about my career and all the publishing companies that I've worked for and the people that I've worked with. And I said, do I have anything in my past that, where anything ever happened? And then it just hit me like a ton of bricks, and I remembered exactly what happened. And oh yeah, this is a definite story, a Me Too movement story. And the couple people that I've told it to, they always look at me with an incredible amount of concern and fear about what happened and what the aftermath may have been, based on the fact that one of these people, we don't know what happened going forward. But I will just lay it out and give you the story. Now, back in the late 80s, I was a young guy working at a journal publishing company in New York. And I was working on a couple of journals that were monthlies. And we all in production kind of worked in a communal area, which we kind of referred to as the bullpen, because we were all sitting at desks next to each other or across from each other. It was very kind of communal. You know, we had a good group of people. We were all in our 20s. It was like a really nice group of people. And when editions or journal publications had to come out, whether they were a quarterly or monthly, sometimes all of us were working late to get that particular journal to press. Just so happened that at this one particular time, I had my big journal, my monthly, that I had to get out, which was actually like the biggest journal that the company produced. And a couple of the other people were also getting their quarterlies done at the same time, so we were both on the same schedule for that particular time period. Now, I had a guy who sat across from me, at the desk across from me. We're going to call him Ben. Not his real name. Not going to mention the company. It doesn't exist anymore, but not going to mention the company. The guy was Ben. So Ben was a guy who was really like the manager's favorite, okay? Ben was a really good-looking guy. He had like blonde hair, blue eyes, worked out all the time. He was really buff. And he was like in his 20s like the rest of us. Seemed like a normal guy. But what I did start to notice was that we would have conversations, because my desk and his desk faced each other. We would have conversations back and forth. And sometimes when I looked at Ben, he had this really far out look on his face. And the look on his face, I kind of, to give you an example of where I'm going with this, he kind of looked like Ted Bundy's brother, okay? He had like wide open eyes that didn't blink, and he had the Joker smile of like Jack Nicholson in the original Batman movie. And he didn't look like that all the time, but every once in a while he when we were in a conversation, he would get so into something that he just like looked crazy, seriously disturbed. And I caught that look a few times, and it was kind of unnerving. It was kind of unnerving because he seemed like a normal guy, but there was this edgy, weird thing going on. Now, among the other people that worked in our department was Tammy, not her real name. And, Tammy was a very religious woman, very attractive, but had a boyfriend, but a really nice person, really nice girl. And so Ben and Tammy sat diagonal, okay? So Ben sits across from me, Tammy sits on the other side, diagonal from Ben. And they used to talk back and forth. They would be talking to each other. Meanwhile, I'm at my desk working, doing things. So this one night, we're all working late. Had to be in the wintertime because it was dark out. It was like 7 o'clock and it was dark out in New York City. And Ben gets up to go to the bathroom. Now, as Ben leaves to go to the bathroom and goes around the corner, immediately, Tammy gets up and comes over to my desk and says, "Did you hear what he just said to me?" And I had to be honest, and I said, no, I really didn't, because I'm trying to get this journal to press, and I'm just really focused on this. And I said, well, what did he say? And she says, this is what he said: "Tammy, I'm gonna rape you, because that's the only way I can do it, and I'm gonna do it." This woman was completely and utterly freaked out and afraid. She was so, I could see it in her face, her eyes. She was screaming, I am afraid. And she said, "Are you going to be leaving soon?" And I said, yes. I'm just going to finish this up and then I'll go. I said, "What do you need?" And she said, Would you walk with me? Would you walk out with me?" I said, "Yes. And I'll walk you to the subway too and make sure everything's okay." And so that's what happened. I finished doing my thing. Ben didn't do anything. I walked Tammy to the subway, made sure she got on okay, and she was fine. But think about the fear that that particular person would have coming back to work with somebody who possibly might try and rape them in the future. It's incredible, and really it's the only time in my publishing career that I have any kind of story like that. But it's just amazing to me. And the sad part about it is, and I feel a little guilty about this now, that there was no place to go with this issue about Ben. And I'm not even talking about internally in the company. I'm talking about, well, what if this guy is doing this to people, okay? Or worse, okay? You think about the different aspects of what that meaning of what he said, and thinking about he has the right to do this. Now, like I said, he had that facial expression that looked kind of like Ted Bundy's younger brother. And I'm kind of like, well, in these 30 years since then? Has he acted on these things? Has he done something to somebody? I mean, was there a possibility that I could have stopped this somehow? But I can't think about that aspect. All I can think about is what happened that particular night with Tammy and how it changed things in our office. Because Tammy, soon after that, was gone. She left. She was out of there. And then eventually I left. So if you ever have any instance where you know something's off with somebody and something like that could happen, just be a man and like step up and don't let things like that happen. Or be a woman. Don't let things like that go any further than that. Because, I mean, seriously, when you look into somebody's face and you know that they've been completely shaken to their core because they are afraid, it's one of the most heartrending things you can ever come up against. So that is volume 3, the story of Ben and Tammy. It's a true story. You know, I'm sorry to say I wish I could have had more of an impact if I could have done something else, but for that particular night, I made sure that Tammy was okay and nothing happened. So, Don Schmidt, The Book Kahuna with War Story Volume 3. If you see somebody who's Ted Bundy's younger brother, you might want to drop a dime somehow. So, till the next one, take care. Have a good night. Bye-bye.